Oh, you sit in a room full of people, smiling, nodding, answering questions. But somewhere inside you, there's a silence so loud it drowns everything else.
Have you ever felt that? A strange echo that reverberates not off the walls, but off your own ribs. The echo inside you. That sensation you can't quite name. It's not sadness. It's not boredom. It's something deeper, quieter, more dangerous. Loneliness. Not the kind of loneliness that comes from being alone. No, that kind is simple, predictable, manageable. I'm talking about the loneliness that creeps in when you're surrounded by faces, yet unseen. When your laugh doesn't reach your eyes. When your words sound like someone else's. That kind of loneliness. You know it. It's the moment you finish scrolling through hours of content and feel nothing. The second you close the door after spending time with friends and realize they never really met you. The instant you wake up and wonder who you're waking up for. You ask yourself quietly, almost ashamed, is this all there is? Soren Kierkegaard once said, the most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. And maybe that's what you're feeling. Not the pain of now, but the ache of what should be. The life unlived, the words unsaid, the you unchosen. We are told to stay busy, to keep moving, to scroll, post, like repeat. Because if we stop, really stop, we might hear that echo. And it terrifies us, because the echo tells the truth. It tells you that you've built a life around distractions. It tells you that you've traded meaning for momentum. It tells you that you no longer know who you are when no one's watching. And here's the thing, you're not alone in this. In fact, this might be the most universal feeling that no one talks about. We've constructed a society that worships connection, but fears intimacy. We applaud vulnerability in TED Talks, but punish it in everyday life. We praise authenticity while promoting conformity. Is it any wonder we feel lost? Kierkegaard didn't believe that despair came from pain. He believed it came from inauthenticity, from losing yourself without even realizing it, from building your life around a version of you that everyone accepts, except you. And so the echo grows, louder. You try to silence it with noise, music, podcasts, conversations that stay skin deep. You chase people, attention, achievement, but it keeps whispering, then shouting, then breaking you down. Until one day, you hear it clearly. Come back to yourself. That's what this is really about. Not depression, not social withdrawal, not introversion or sensitivity or overthinking. It's about losing your core. It's about walking so far from your own center that you forget what it feels like to be whole. It's about realizing that the world will never offer you what you're unwilling to find within. So why do we ignore this? Because it's easier. Because pretending you're fine is rewarded. Because being numb feels safer than being honest. But that safety is an illusion. And the longer you ignore the echo, the more it becomes your cage. But there's a truth that no one tells you. That echo inside you, it's not your enemy. It's your signal. It's not there to hurt you. It's there to guide you, to wake you up, to shake you out of autopilot, to ask you the questions that silence your distractions. Who are you when you stop performing? What do you believe when no one else agrees? What do you want when no one's watching? These aren't comfortable questions, but they're the only ones worth asking, because freedom doesn't come from escaping loneliness. It comes from listening to it. Kierkegaard wrote, "The task must be made difficult, for only the difficult inspires the noble-hearted." So here's your task. Stop running. Stop pretending. Stop numbing. Sit with the echo. Let it speak. Let it lead you back to something real. This isn't about isolation. It's about awakening. The world taught you to fear the silence. But maybe, just maybe, that silence is your starting point. Because the real journey doesn't begin when you're surrounded. It begins when you're finally alone and unafraid. Have you ever truly looked into your own loneliness? Not run from it. Not distract yourself. Not label it as a problem to solve. But truly sat with it. Let it breathe. Let it speak. Let it reflect. Most people think loneliness is a void, an absence, an emptiness. But that's not true. Loneliness is not emptiness. It's a mirror. It's the most honest reflection you'll ever get. Not of the world, but of yourself. When you're lonely, you meet the version of you that exists without performance, without audience, without feedback. Just you, raw, bare, unfiltered. And let's be honest, that version can be terrifying, because it reminds you of the parts you buried, the dreams you deferred, the emotions you dismissed, the questions you never dared to ask. But here's the truth. That version of you, it's real. It's more real than the mask you wear in the boardroom, more real than the charm you flash at parties, more real than the persona you curate online. Carl Jung wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." Loneliness is the gateway to awakening, if you have the courage to walk through it. But most don't. Most run. Into noise. Into people. Into endless distraction. Because facing yourself feels like facing a stranger you were supposed to know. So we label loneliness as a problem. We diagnose it, medicate it, try to escape it. But what if it's not a problem? What if it's an invitation? An invitation to come home. To see yourself clearly, perhaps for the first time. To confront the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. To make peace with what you find in the silence. Have you noticed how the loneliest moments often come right after success? The applause fades, the dopamine crashes, and suddenly you're left wondering, was any of that real? You see, loneliness strips away illusion. That's why it hurts. That's why it's holy. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties." And the strongest of those threads is the one connecting you to your own soul. But you can't strengthen that thread without solitude, without space, without the mirror. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you were alone? Not lonely, but truly alone, and felt full? Most people can't remember, because we've been trained to equate connection with crowds, belonging with approval, worth with being wanted. So when no one calls, when the messages stop, when the weekend plans fall through, we feel panic. Not because we're empty, but because we've forgotten how to be whole on our own. And yet, the greatest thinkers, creators, and healers in history, they all knew this truth. Solitude is sacred, not as an escape, but as a return. Thoreau went to the woods. Buddha sat under the tree. Jesus went into the desert. They didn't run from loneliness. They embraced it, because in that mirror, they saw the self the world had tried to drown. And they brought it back. You can too. But you have to stop blaming loneliness for what it reveals. It doesn't make you broken. It shows you where you already are. Maybe you've been living for others for so long, you forgot your own desires. Maybe you've achieved so much, but it was never what you truly wanted. Maybe you've built a life that looks beautiful, but feels hollow. Loneliness doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't spin a story. It holds up a mirror and waits. What you see in that mirror is up to you. But make no mistake, ignoring it won't make it go away. You can keep chasing more. More people, more attention, more stimulation. Or you can stop, breathe, look in the mirror, and ask, who am I really? What do I long for when no one is listening? What version of myself have I abandoned to fit in? These are dangerous questions, but they are the only ones that matter. Because the answers don't just heal your loneliness. They reveal your path. You're not here to fill space. You're here to become whole. Not by avoiding loneliness, but by honoring it. Let it hurt. Let it cleanse. Let it point you inward. Because in that mirror lies the seed of your freedom. Loneliness is not punishment. It's practice. Practice in self-acceptance. Practice in presence. Practice in seeing. So don't numb it. Don't mock it. Don't hide it. Sit with it. Speak to it. Listen to what it reflects. And when you finally look up, from the silence, the stillness, the truth, you may find something unexpected. You, not the version that people celebrate, the version that you remember, the one who still dreams, the one who still hopes, the one who is never truly lost, only waiting to be seen. So next time you feel lonely, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Ask, what truth is this mirror trying to show me? And then look closely, because that answer might just set you free. The world tells you to fit in, blend, adjust, be accepted. But have you ever paused and asked, who are you adjusting for? We grow up learning the rules, not the rules of logic or compassion, but the rules of crowds, the subtle code of conformity. Don't speak too loudly. Don't stand out too much. Don't question what everyone else accepts. Because comfort lies in numbers, right? But here's the ugly truth. The crowd doesn't love you. It tolerates you, as long as you don't threaten it. Philosopher Soren Kierkegaard once said, "The crowd is untruth." And yet, most of us spend our lives trying to be absorbed by it, seeking its approval, its applause, its permission. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something truly for yourself? Not because it was trendy, not because it was expected, but because it burned inside you like a truth you couldn't ignore. Think about it. The moment you begin to question the norm, you become dangerous. Not because you are violent, but because you are awake. and an awakened mind is a threat to the system. Have you ever wondered why those who chase solitude are seen as strange? Why those who speak about meaning are mocked? Why those who choose silence over noise are branded as arrogant? Because the crowd can only survive if you remain asleep. This isn't a new phenomenon. It's ancient. Plato told us, in his allegory of the cave, that most people live in shadows, and they resist those who try to drag them into the light. You see, the crowd doesn't just shape your actions. It shapes your thoughts, your desires, your fears. It tells you what success looks like. It tells you what love feels like. It tells you what happiness should be. But what if the crowd is wrong? Worse, what if it's lying? Look at the modern world. Everyone is connected, yet more people feel alone. Everyone is performing, yet no one feels seen. Everyone is talking, yet nothing is being said. You wake up and scroll through curated lives. Filters over faces. Smiles painted on with desperation. A chorus of conformity. You compare. You despair. You shrink. But you keep scrolling. Because that's what the crowd does. You see influencers preaching authenticity in front of rented cars and fake backdrops. You see artists abandoning soul for virality. You see thinkers reduce their complexity to fit an algorithm. The crowd rewards performance, not truth. Let me give you an example. Imagine a young man, brilliant, curious, but quiet. He writes poems, studies philosophy, and asks big questions. But the world tells him, be more marketable, be more social, be more normal. So he buries his questions, trades them for small talk, erases his poetry, learns the language of mediocrity. Years pass. He doesn't even remember what he was trying to say. And now he applauds others who've done the same. Do you see the cycle? The crowd is not evil. It's just afraid. Afraid of the one who walks alone. Afraid of those who reflect what they've given up. Because the individual, when truly free, reminds the crowd of its chains. Look around you. The most celebrated minds in history, Nietzsche, Thoreau, Jung, Van Gogh, they were ridiculed in their time. Dismissed. Outcast. But they chose solitude over noise. Depth over surface. Truth over applause. They knew something vital. The deeper your thoughts, the lonelier your path. And still they walked. You must choose. Will you drown in the comfort of crowds? Or suffer in the service of something real? Because yes, it will cost you. You will lose friends. You will be misunderstood. You will have moments of doubt. But in exchange, you will gain something irreplaceable. Yourself. So I ask you, not rhetorically, but personally. Are you willing to be exiled for your truth? Are you ready to stop performing? Are you prepared to disappoint the world to remain loyal to your soul? Because the crowd is the lie. But you can be the truth. If you dare. And if you do, you won't be alone forever. Because others like you exist. Scattered. Quiet. Watching. Waiting for someone to go first. They tell you isolation is a punishment. That to be alone is to be abandoned. Exiled. Forgotten. But what if that's the biggest lie you've ever believed? What if isolation isn't your enemy, but your greatest teacher? Think back. The moments that truly changed you, did they happen in noise? Or in stillness? In the company of others? Or in the silence of your own soul? The world teaches us to fear solitude. Because in solitude, you meet someone most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Yourself. And the self, raw, unmasked, unfiltered, is terrifying. There's no audience to impress. No crowd to deceive. No script to follow. Just you. Your thoughts. Your questions. Your contradictions. In the noise of society, you can hide. Behind roles. Behind relationships. Behind routines. But in isolation, the masks fall. And the truth speaks. Carl Jung once wrote, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." And maybe that's what you felt all along. Not a lack of people, but a lack of connection. The kind of connection that requires depth, that requires honesty, that requires silence. There's a reason monasteries are quiet, why mystics wander the desert, why thinkers retreat into cabins. It's not because they hate the world, it's because they want to understand it. And understanding always begins with stepping away. Let me tell you a story. There was a man, ordinary to the outside world. He had a job, a routine, a life that looked fine on paper, but every night he felt empty. So one weekend, without a plan, he left. Drove hours into the woods. No phone, no signal, just trees and cold and silence. The first day he panicked. The second day he slept. The third day he wept. And by the 5th day, he heard something he hadn't heard in years. His own voice. Not the voice conditioned by the world. Not the one rehearsed for conversations. But the one that knew. The one that remembered. The one that could finally say, "This is who I am." And in that moment, he wasn't alone. He was found. You see, isolation strips you of distractions. It burns away the false comforts. And what's left is clarity. Not comfort. Not certainty. But truth. Most people run from this. Because once you see who you really are, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to pretending. And that's the gift. That's the pain. That's the freedom. Isolation gives you yourself. But here's the twist. Once you know who you are, you return to the world differently. Not hungry for approval. Not desperate for noise. But anchored. You become dangerous. Because a person who is no longer afraid to be alone is a person who can't be manipulated. No job can own you. No relationship can define you. No ideology can trap you. Because you faced the silence and survived. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." In isolation, you find your why. And once you find it, you become unshakable. So if you're feeling alone right now, don't rush to escape it. Don't numb it. Don't fill it with noise. Sit with it. Let it speak. Let it guide you. Because there is a gift hidden in isolation. It's not wrapped in comfort. It's not easy to open. But it's real. And in a world drowning in illusion, that might be the rarest treasure of all. So ask yourself, when was the last time you listened to your own silence? What truth are you avoiding in the noise? And are you brave enough to go where the world told you not to look? Into the quiet, into the stillness, into the part of you that knows who you are, when no one else is watching. That's where freedom begins. That's where your real life begins. And no one can give that to you, except you. You've been waiting, haven't you? For permission, for a sign, for someone to finally say, "Now, you're ready." But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. No one is coming, not to rescue you, not to validate you, not to anoint you, because it was never their job. It's yours. You must choose yourself. You think this world rewards the best? The most talented? The most deserving? No, it rewards the ones who decide. The ones who stop apologizing for existing. The ones who stop waiting to be picked. The ones who stop asking for a place and take it. Why do you think so many brilliant minds die in obscurity? Why do you think mediocrity so often rises? Because brilliance without courage is invisible. Because silence is misread as irrelevance. Because if you don't choose yourself, no one will. And that hurts. It hurts to realize the world isn't fair. That the crowd doesn't care about potential. That being ready isn't enough. But it's also the most liberating truth you'll ever learn. Because once you understand that, you stop playing their game. You stop begging for entry. You stop shrinking your voice. You stop contorting your identity to fit someone else's mold. You stand. You speak. You create. Not for approval. Not for applause. But because you must. Because to betray your calling is to die before you're dead. Let me ask you, how many times have you said no to yourself? How many ideas have you buried? How many dreams have you postponed? How many versions of you have you silenced? Not because you lack talent, but because you thought it wasn't your turn. Well, here's your turn. There's no committee, no gatekeeper, no magical moment where the stars align and everything becomes clear. There's only this moment, and the question you've avoided for too long. Will you choose yourself? James Baldwin once said, "You have to go the way your blood beats. If you don't live the only life you have, you won't live some other life. You'll live no life at all." That's the cost of waiting. You don't just lose time, you lose yourself, piece by piece, concession by concession, until one day, you no longer recognize the reflection in the mirror. You see the mask, you feel the cage, but you've forgotten the person inside. Don't let it get that far. Choosing yourself means disappointing people. It means breaking expectations. It means walking away from comfort. But it also means freedom. It means authenticity. It means finally stepping into the role only you can play. Do you know how rare that is? To meet someone who has chosen themselves? It's like breathing mountain air. There's clarity. There's depth. There's presence. Because they've burned the false identities. They've risked rejection. They've faced their own doubt and answered it with action. You feel them before they speak. Because they aren't performing. They're being. And the world listens. Not because they were told to, but because they recognize truth. So the question isn't whether you're ready. The question is whether you're willing. to risk being misunderstood, to risk failing, to risk standing alone. Because that's the price of self-authorship. And yes, it's high, but so is the cost of denial. Every day you don't choose yourself, you choose a lie, a safer job, a smaller life, a quieter voice. And the tragedy is, most people will never even know what they lost. But you do. You've always known. That whisper inside you, the ache, the tension between who you are and who you pretend to be, that's your soul reminding you you were made for more. Not more fame, not more money, more truth, more alignment, more you. So if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. If you're waiting for permission, here it is. Choose yourself, before the world forgets what only you can give. And never look back.